Hey everybody, how are you doing? Tekking and Barry back again, and this is a very special episode because at the end we are discussing a new kind of animal fact. We've already done ant facts and bat facts. What animal's going to be next? I don't know, but you're just going to have to sit through the whole video to find out. That's right. Okay, so wait for it. Wait for it. Okay. A bunch of people probably just stop the video, move to the end of the video, and because of that, if you're still watching me right now, thank you so much. I'm gonna put something at the end of the video for them. I'm gonna chew them out, don't worry about it. But you guys stuck around, so that's great, okay? You're like, okay, Tekking, I'll sit through the whole video before we get to animal facts. That's going to be like our little treat. I'm like, yes, and you understand that, so this is why we're friends, okay? So today, we are talking about the Onigashima Muffin Mountain Relocation Project. It's a very convoluted process. There's a lot of facets to this. Honestly, I don't know what I was expecting. I mean, Kaido literally lifted up a giant island and was going to move it on top of another island. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure they'll be able to solve that problem with no issue. Just Luffy has to punch out Kaido and then the Onigashima will just go back to where it was, right? No, it's like Yamato brings up in the last chapter. There's a bunch of different ways this can go, and the vast majority of them involve a lot of people in Wano and Onigashima dying horrible deaths, okay? So, the first possibility, the way that Kaido originally intended this process to go, was to lift up Onigashima, slaughter everybody that opposes him while it's en route to Wano. I'm sure Kaido probably already thought that, like, Luffy and Law and Kid and all the samurai and the rebellion, all the scabbards would be dead by this point. Unfortunately, it's looking like the rebellion is winning, so it's like Kaido's a little bit frustrated right now, and we saw that his flame clouds are actually weakening, carrying Onigashima, which means he is taking some damage and he does have some fatigue. He doesn't really show it on his face. He's very, he's just very, I'm mean, I'm Kaido, but he is feeling a little bit winded here, okay? So, I'm assuming he thought everybody was going to be dead, and what was going to happen was he was just going to take Onigashima, float it over the flower capital, and not drop it, from what we're going to find out in a little bit from Yamato, not drop it, but just, like, lower it down, basically probably crushing Orochi's palace, the palace which represented the power of the Kozuki clan ever since the Void Century, and then Orochi took over. And it's on that tree, that giant tree in the middle of the flower capital. Onigashima was probably just gonna, like, crush the tree, and a lot of people would die that were in the palace or, like, immediately in the vicinity of the palace. We actually did get to see, like, an artist rendition, like, Kaido's view of how Onigashima would look. Like, we see Onigashima right smack dab in the middle of the flower capital, which stands for the new pirate paradise capital, so to speak. Like, Yamato was to be the next shogun of Wano, and then Kaido would go out in the world and spread his influence and turning the entire world slowly but surely into his pirate paradise. That was his ultimate goal, also finding the One Piece as well along that line, okay? So a lot of people would have died there, and obviously Yamato and Momo don't want that to happen. Beyond just the people of the flower capital dying, Tenguyama and Otoko are there and everything. Also, I mean, like, after this fight is over, Momonosuke is probably going to be the next shogun and lead Wano into a new era and open up the borders, and that kind of sucks if the capital is, like, destroyed, or, like, the castle where... Oh, actually, you know what? Even more important than that, there's probably very valuable information in the palace, not just the poneglyphs, because the poneglyphs are sort of indestructible. Even if Onigashima was dropped on the flower capital and it exploded in the process, the poneglyph would still probably be fine. It would just probably be buried under mountains of rubble that you'd have to dig out, right? But beyond that, I mean, there's probably really important documents and stuff that Oden and, Sukiyaki might have had access to, like the Kozuki clan would have known about. And if the palace is still around and Orochi's no longer the shogun after the arc, you could have a scene where the scabbards and Momonosuke and Hiyori and the Straw Hats all go into the palace, and they start digging around through all these, like, vaults and, like, file cabinets, and they're like, holy crap, Luffy, this is important information, like the location of, like, okay, maybe not the location of the Fourth Road poneglyph, because Kaido would have probably had access to that at this point, but some really important information involving the Void Century might be in that palace. Kaido might have been privy to it, which is why he was so interested in Momo and Oden Odin, right? It's like, what is with the Kozuki clan, you know, something like that. So that's another good reason on why the palace should not be destroyed, all right? Okay, so that's one possibility of what can occur here with Onigashima. The second possibility is, what if Luffy knocks out Kaido, which is something that he's definitely going to do, but what if he just knocks out Kaido, like, right now, where Onigashima is? Well, if Luffy were to do that, then the flame clouds would also disappear, and Onigashima would just fall wherever the hell it was. Even if it did not land directly on the flower capital, I guess that's one possibility. It could be floating above the flower capital or close enough to it, like it lands on the perimeter. Like the shockwave enough would be probably enough, like the earthquakes and the tremors, basically like a meteor being dropped to kill pretty much everybody in the flower capital. But even if it was a distance away, the shockwaves and the impact would still be enough to probably wipe out the flower capital. Like, it's so close to it right now, that's kind of inevitable. If it falls, a lot of people in the flower capital would die. And also the fact that Yamato brings up, and this makes a lot of sense, Onigashima is essentially a giant bomb, because there's a huge weapon cache on there. You know, it's got gunpowder and cannons and weapons, and, you know, not just like regular cannons like on a ship, but like super advanced, like high long-range cannons we saw on the battleships, because this was the home base of a Yonko for well over 2 decades at this point. Okay, so there's a lot of freaking gunpowder on this island. So she brings up, like, even if it drops, you know, the impact alone will be enough, but then also it'll like explode, you know? So like I said in the review, I feel like the island itself being dropped would be, you know, it doesn't matter if there is a lot of gunpowder or if there's nothing on Onigashima. I feel like that dropping enough would be enough to destroy a big chunk of Wano, or at least where the flower capital is, like wherever it landed. Maybe not like the entire country would be wiped out. And then again, I don't know, like Onigashima, it's not super high up in the sky. I don't know physics, but like, you know, they can look over the edge, and we even saw that in the last chapter. Like, you can see the flower capital below in pretty good detail. Like, they're high up, but they're not like in the stratosphere or anything like that. If they were that high up, if they were at like a jet engine's like cruising altitude, and then Onigashima got dropped, the whole island might just be, you know, gone, because that would basically be a meteor, and like for the ocean for miles around would just be devastated, right? So they're not that high up for that, but I still feel like, yeah, the gunpowder and explosives, that is a concern, but the idea of the island being dropped alone is a concern. So Luffy has to defeat Kaido, and Yamato is certain that Luffy can defeat him. However, he cannot do it just now, because if it happens now, then a lot of people are gonna die. And so Momonosuke was like, hey, how about I tell Luffy about this situation so he's like more aware when he's fighting. He doesn't knock Kaido out right away until we give the green light, so to speak. And Yamato's like, no, we can't do that. He's already risking his life. This is like the 3rd time he's fought him now, Momonosuke, you know? We can't burden him with this information. We have to solve this problem on our own. Just me and you, Yamato and Momonosuke teaming up. And if we can solve the problem, that's great. If not, you know, thousands, tens of thousands, maybe more might die, but we can do this, right? And so Momo's like, all right, I guess so, right? Okay. And so that leads to the 3rd possibility. Actually, I guess there is a 3rd and 4th possibility here. The 3rd possibility is that Momonosuke takes over the flaming clouds, or creates flaming clouds that are stronger than Kaido in his weakened state, grabs the island, and you can do one of 2 things with it, I would imagine. Option 3 is you just settle Onigashima down very carefully in an empty wasteland of Wano. There's plenty of them ever since Orochi took over, right? All of Udon is basically a barren wasteland, and it used to be a jungle. A big chunk of Curry, as we saw, is wasteland. So there's plenty of well-opened fields and space where Onigashima could just be gently lifted down. It might be a bit of an eyesore, but at least it's not killing anybody in the process. You know what I mean? So that's option 3. And then I guess option 4 would be the absolute best case scenario, where Momonosuke uses his flame clouds to actually push Onigashima back out to sea and set it down right where it was to begin with, right? Maybe not in the exact same location, but as long as it's in the water, like it's no longer around, it's no longer in mainland Wano in danger of blowing up or anything. That's also the downside of option 3. Like, even if you were to lower it, there's still like a bunch of weapons and gunpowder that could go off at any time. Also, I remind you, just throwing this out there as a possibility because I thought of this, okay? All right. The clouds that Kaido and Momonosuke create, what are those called again? That's right, Barry. They're called flame clouds. What is gunpowder again? What is gunpowder? Oh, man, I watched Dr. Stone last night. What is it? Oh, yeah, flammable! Gunpowder is flammable! Now, I don't know. That's what I mean. Like, I don't know if when, they're flaming clouds just in appearance, like they look like flaming clouds, or if they're actually fire. Like, can they actually spark something? Because if they can, that could be like a last-ditch thing Kaido could do. Like, Kaido, if he knows he's about to be defeated by Luffy, he's like, you know what? Screw this. I'm not letting you guys take my island. If I'm going out, if you're gonna ruin all my plans, screw it. And he just uses the last of his power to use the flame clouds to ignite the gunpowder on Onigashima, and the whole island just blows up in the sky. Option 5, okay? And okay, all right, well, actually, let's think about that. All right, so you have a giant island that's essentially a huge bomb that just blows up in the sky. Well, you'd have raining hellfire, just rocks and debris just raining down on pretty much the entire flower capital and Ebisu town and all the other villages that are around it. Maybe possibly over all of Wano if the explosion is big enough and it's high enough. That's something else Kaido could do too. Kaido, like, when he knows he's about to be weakened to the point where he's gonna lose, he's like, okay, I'll just use the last of my power to not ignite Onigashima, but I'll use the last of my power to lift it up even higher. So it's like, even if you beat me, whatever, who cares? I'm the Sky Island bungee jumping free fall champion of One Piece, Luffy. I might survive this, but if I were to just turn off the flame clouds, it might just... Like, he really does take it up into the stratosphere and then drop it. And then that could be, like, Kaido might survive from that just by sheer physical power, like when he jumped off the Sky Island. But everybody else would probably die. Luffy would maybe be okay because he's made of rubber. He would just be like, ah! Boing! Ah! And then he eventually would land. But, the other samurai and the scabbards, maybe not so much, okay? So that's option 6. So there's a lot of opportunities here, okay? We have Onigashima landing on the flower capital, Onigashima landing somewhere else, crash landing, blowing up, and annihilating the flower capital. We have an option where Momonosuke gently sets it down somewhere else, where Momonosuke pushes it back out to sea, or Kaido just decides to ignite the damn thing, or Kaido decides to just lift it up and then dive bomb it into the island if he were to be defeated as like a final, like, it's like, you know what? I don't even care anymore about the Pirate Paradise thing. If I'm gonna go out, if you are going to defeat me, I'm going to have some way to, like, one-up you at the end, okay? Like, you're not going to win everything, okay? That's basically the idea there. Also, even if the flame clouds, option 7, even if the flame clouds could not actually ignite Onigashima, Kaido literally can breathe fire. So, I mean, like, if Kaido knows exactly where the giant, like, amount of gunpowder, like, where their ammunitions, like, room is, the armory, which I'm assuming Kaido knows exactly where it is, he could just, like, you know what, whatever, Boro breath, boom, Although in that instance, I mean, there are people like Kinemon that can, like, slice fire, so if that were to happen, there might be a way, like, you know what, I'm taking this island with me, Boro breath, and then Kinemon jumps up, like, he's severely wounded, like, half of his skull is caved in by Kaido, but he still has enough force of will to get up and, like, slice the fire, and, like, it divides, and then the island doesn't blow up, and that was, like, last of what Kaido had in his tank, and then he immediately passes out. Like, maybe that would be a cool scene, So yeah, there's a lot of options here involving exactly where Onigashima is going to move. Momonosuke has to really come up with something fast here on how to manipulate his flaming clouds. So I was thinking, though, is that all Yamato and Momonosuke's job is going to be for the rest of the arc? Like, just figuring out a way to move Onigashima. It's a mammoth of a task. I still love you, Jack. It's a mammoth of a task, but could they do it? And I'm like, all right, but are they going to have any opposition while they're attempting to do this? Like, are they just going to have, not all the time in the world, but are they going to be able to do this without anybody trying to fight them? Or could it just be Yamato and Momonosuke doing this and trying to figure out how to use Momonosuke's power, okay? So I started to think about this. Who could possibly oppose them while they were outside trying to, move Onigashima, all right? Well, there are gifters and headliners in the Beast Pirates that have wings, so they could come out and they could fly and they could attack Yamato. I was going to say Yamamoto. Yamato and Momonosuke. But I don't think that's going to be an issue because, number one, a lot of these headliners and gifters have already went over to Otama's side because of the Kibi-Dango ability. And also, even if there were a few gifters that were loyal to Kaido that had the ability to fly and they came out and just like, hey, you need to stop that, Yamato. Bam! Yamato just picks up the Kanabo and just smacks them into the next, region of Wano, like, and they land in the Ringo region or something. Like, they're not going to be a threat to Yamato. Even with her being, like, weakened, that's not going to be an issue. So I'm like, all right, well, if the gifters aren't going to be an issue, who else, really? The Tobiropo are defeated. King and Queen are busy fighting Sanji and Zoro, respectively. I say respectfully instead of respectfully. And so, also, you have the Big Mom Pirates, if they're ever going to show up, right? It's like, they finally show up. But even then, like, I think a few of them are able to fly, but not really a lot of actually are any of them able to fly. I don't even really know if they could do any of that, yeah. I mean, some of them know Geppo. I think Charlotte Yuen, the guy with, like, the emoji face that used the giant iron ball, like, he can use Geppo, so maybe. But that got me thinking, wait a second, Geppo, strong opponents. This might be where CP0 gets involved. That's an idea, right? Like, Yamato and Momo are trying to, like, okay, Momonosuke, try to use your flame clouds to wrap it around. I'm trying to do that. Think of it like a Christmas bow. I'm like, I don't know what Christmas is. It's like, fair enough. Trying to wrap it, and then all of a sudden, freaking Rankyaku just shoots out of nowhere. Yamato, like, senses it with observation. Momo doesn't know it's coming. She takes out her Kanabo and, like, blocks it, and then freaking random members of CP0 show up with Shigon, and they're, like, attacking Yamato, and like, okay, what's going on here? And so Yamato the entire time is on the back of Momonosuke while they're trying to figure this out, and CP0 arrives. And keep in mind, these are CP0, okay? These are the best Cypher Pole agents, probably the masters of the Rokushiki, okay? So I was even thinking, like, would they just be standing in the middle of the air, just kicking it using Geppo? They're so adept at this, they might even be able to, like, one single kick of Geppo can keep us airborne for a whole minute. Like, they're masters of this craft, of this ability. So if they could do something like that, if they could basically fly, that wouldn't really surprise me all that much, okay? So CP0 could show up and confront Yamato and Momonosuke. Why would they want to confront these two? While, like, so far in the battle, they've just been, like, third parties, not really getting involved. It really seems like they don't really care if the Beast Pirates prevail or if the Rebellion prevails. They're just there to, like, observe everything on their little go board, okay? So why would they get involved here? Well, for one thing, it was the CP0 agent that mentioned Momonosuke's devil fruit. Just like, oh yeah, remember that artificial devil fruit Vegapunk created? Yeah, it's a good thing that was left on Punk Hazard and then Punk Hazard blew up and now that fruit is gone forever. I was just thinking if that fruit would have survived, it would have been a little bit of a problem, but it's okay because it's gone. Well, Momonosuke just turned into a giant dragon and burst through the entirety of the live stage and Onigashima, flying to the roof. I'm sure the Cypher Pole Zero took notice of him. I'm sure they realized, wouldn't it be interesting if that devil fruit existed? It's probably gone with Punk Hazard. Boom! That looks like another giant dragon. I know it looks like another giant dragon, Jeff! That's this guy from the CP0. His name's Jeff. Nice to meet you, Jeff. I bet you didn't know his name, but that's his name right there. Okay, so now they're aware that the dragon fruit that Vegapunk created is on the island and Momonosuke has it. And they're like, alright, we need to deal with something. We need to deal with that. Like, up until now, we were just okay doing the little go board shit. We need to deal with that, alright? They would probably want to capture Momonosuke, bring him back to the government, like their secret lab, which they have, and then, Vegapunk's working there. He's like, we've recovered your fruit, That would probably definitely be a reason why they would be interested in Momonosuke. And, on top of that, Yamato, being the daughter of Kaido, they captured Kaido plenty of times and experimented on him and made this artificial devil fruit. They might be thinking, hey, Yamato is the child of Kaido, which means if Kaido has, like, ancient giant DNA or ogre or whatever he has in him for his lineage factor, Yamato has it as well. Also, Yamato has the Makami fruit, another very rare mythical zone, just like Kaido had the very rare mythical dragon fruit. They might be like, capture Momonosuke so we can reclaim his devil fruit that Vegapunk created, and then capture Yamato to do the same lineage factor experiments. Instead of creating an artificial dragon zone, we'll create an artificial Makami zone, which is also pretty damn powerful, right? So, I can think of a bunch of reasons why Cypher Pole would get involved with these two. Like, okay, we gotta stop what we're doing and, actually get involved here. We don't really care if Kaido wins or if the rebellion wins, but we need to capture this dragon and Yamato, because they would be very, very useful to the world government, okay? So that's why I could see them getting involved, whereas Yamato has to, like, fight off 3 members of Cypher Pole Zero, all the while Momonosuke's like, okay, how do I, flame clouds? Like, okay, now do I just kind of push it? What do I do? You know, Yamato, what do I do? I don't know, Momonosuke! Figure out something! You know, like, and then we could find out, like, maybe the names or the identities. Yamato could, like, take her Kanabo and, like, knock off one of the CP0's masks so we see who they look, like, what they are or who they are, you know? Something like that would be cool. But yeah, that was just some ideas there on the Onigashima relocation project and where this could go. Let me know what you think about it down below, because I think, like, the Cypher Pole, I feel like I've made videos about this before. Like, are they going to get involved at any point in this, or are they just going to leave when shit starts looking like it's going to, like, go to one side or the other? Because I was thinking they were going to do that, but since they're the ones that brought up the dragon fruit, and then Momonosuke has it, and then Yamato's also there, they might be thinking, like, oh, okay, we could do this instead. So I think that'll be the way to thrust them into the battle, right? Instead of just them hanging out in their indestructible waiting room the entire time. Maybe the waiting room was finally destroyed by Momonosuke when he charged into the island, and so now it's like, oh no, our go board was destroyed. We have no symbolic way of keeping track of the battle anymore. I guess we could go fight. Yeah, but who wants to see CP0 in a fight using the masterful Rokushiki techniques? I guess, and then they go off, you know, maybe something like that. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, everybody, and now it's time for the new type of animal facts. That's correct. And if you skip this video from the very beginning to now, like after I said there's a new animal fact, but you gotta wait through the video and you just skipped right here, come on, really? Really? You just want to skip right to the end and get the animal facts. Is this what this channel is about now? You know? We started with Bleach, and now we're doing One Piece, and now we're just doing animal facts? Is that all I am? Okay, well, I don't approve, but I guess we're here, so we might as well do it. Okay, this is, are you ready for this? Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. The theme of October will be Capybara Month! Cappy capybaras, they are so cute. Cappy capybaras, they like to eat fruit. Cappy capybaras. I'm pushing mute. Cappy capybaras today. That was good. That was good. That was a good intro. Okay. All right. Talking about capybaras. I got a lot of cool suggestions for October. A lot of people actually wanted cats because, like, black cats for Halloween, but I also got, like, chameleon facts. Crab facts was probably the second runner-up. I mean, it was close, okay? But I cannot resist the single most adorable animal on this entire planet, the capybara, all right? So, for the first episode of Capybara Facts, let's just read off exactly what a capybara is. Well, capybaras just happen to have the distinguishing trait of being the largest rodent on the entire planet. They are native to South America in this general region, so pretty much all of Brazil, up to north of, like, Venezuela, Colombia, south to Uruguay, and a little bit of Argentina. They're around this general region. They like to hang out by water. They also have the distinction of being the chillest animal on the entire planet. They are very sociable. They are very docile. If you run into one, like, yeah, like, these things look threatening, really, but if you run into a bunch of them, they typically stay in groups of, like, 10 to 20, but they can number as many as 100 in a group. So now just imagine that. Imagine, like there's a lot of negative aspects of being just lost in the Amazon rainforest, like piranhas and army ants and all the things that could kill you in the freaking Amazon. But imagine you're lost in the Amazon like it's Jumanji or some shit, and you're like, oh no, am I ever gonna get out of here? And then you just part some trees, and you just see a majestic field filled with like 100 capybaras just frolicking around. And no matter, like, oh, you're still in trouble, you still need to get out of there. Then a freaking jaguar jumps on your back and, like, kills you. By the way, jaguars, #1 killers of capybaras. Just right now, as we're talking, there's probably a bunch of capybaras that are getting devoured by jaguars down in the Amazon rainforest. So, yeah, so that kind of sucks. But they're very, very adorable. I wrote that down as a bullet point. Adorable. Their closest relatives are the guinea pigs, as you can see see a resemblance there. They're very, very picky eaters. They only eat like one type of species of plant and kind of like will just ignore all other plants around it. So yeah, that's the capybara. Yeah, that's the introductory facts to them. I'm glad to start talking about capybaras. Even if we don't like have a bunch of facts about capybaras, I'll just show more pictures of capybaras because they're adorable, right? Like, I don't know, can you own one? I don't know if you can, but like, if I could, I would. They're capybaras, for God's sake, right? So, yeah, okay. Just add that to a list of why I need to travel to South America. If I ever had to travel to South America for anything, then I'm going to go, I'm going to Rio de Janeiro for something. I don't know. I gotta see a capybara before I leave. That is the guarantee. Any of my fans that live in South America, have you met a capybara? Have you become friends with a capybara? Yeah. Oh, here's another thing too. I was just thinking this because, you know, Pokemon, you know, how many Pokemon exist now? Like over 800, 900? We gotta be getting close to 1,000. Somehow, there are no capybara-themed Pokemon. At least I don't think there are. I looked them up. I can only find, like, fan art of capybara Pokemon. You mean to tell me Stunfisk, a Pokemon? They literally made an animated bag of trash into a Pokemon before this? Isn't the whole point of Pokemon to take an animal in our world, make them super cute, kawaii anime, and then make a video game about them? Like Pikachu, the adorable little yellow mouse that's taken over the world. Capybaras aren't cute enough for you, Japan! Anyway, that's capybara facts. I hope you enjoyed. What was the song again? Capybaras, they are so cute. Capybaras, they like to eat fruit. Okay, well, I hope you guys have a good day. This will be Tekking101 and Barry signing out. Later.